What's good, YouTube? Quinn Wade, basketball analysis, coming to you with a quick video. Today we're going to talk about the OKC Thunder, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Houston Rockets. All of these teams have an opportunity to play against the Warriors, but one of the teams going to have to go through San Antonio or Houston or Rockets. They're going to have to face each other. One team going to go against the Warriors in the semifinals. The other team is going to either go against another one of the teams, which means San Antonio might play them in the semifinals, maybe the Thunder, maybe the Rockets. So basically, two of the teams going to be eliminated before the Western Conference Finals. So we're going to predict and just talk about who gives the Warriors the best threat, who can meet them in the Western Conference Finals and give them a challenge. A lot of people say, well, the Warriors is a lot better. They got more deeper. They got a year more chemistry, and the West did get harder as a collective, but it's still for a team that at the top of the West talent wise, and that's what we're gonna talk about today. Let's talk about the Thunder. The Thunder is a team that they was able to add a player in Paul George, who's a top 13, 12 player in the league. He plays decent defense. He used to be a way more better defender, but he lost a couple steps, but he's still long, lanky. He can guard anybody. And at the end of the day, he can score, shoot the three. And he's a guy that doesn't really need the ball. He can score within the system. He can come off screens. He can knock down corner and spot up threes. And, of course, he can get steals and get out and run in transition. And that's kind of like the perfect player for Russell Westbrook, a guy that can defend, a guy that can shoot the ball, and a guy that can play off the ball as well as make plays on the ball, because he showed in the last couple years in the playoffs that he's a capable and a willing playmaker, even averaging around 7 to 8 assists, even against Cleveland last year in the playoff, well, last season in the playoffs against Cleveland, he was able to add almost 7 to 8 assists a game. And that shows that he can be a capable playmaker, which can take some pressure and some ball handling duties off Russell Westbrook, who actually led the NBA in holding the ball, having the ball in his hand the most. And that's a ridiculous stat. In NBA history, nobody held the ball longer than Russell Westbrook, and he broke that record in a landslide. So with that being said, he's not used to playing off the ball. He's not used to giving up the ball, because he usually be the aggressor, the attacker, and the playmaker. And he might still be on the ball a lot, but for what I've seen in preseason, Russell Westbrook allowed Carmelo to get his touches. He allowed Paul George to get his touches. He picked his spots when he wanted to score. And also, he still was able to get his assists and rebounds. He might not average a triple-double, but he still might be able to average double-digit assists. Carmelo is a guy that he's coming from. He gets the ball in his area. He likes to isolate and get his shot. It's going to be a lot better because he do have players like Paul George and Russell that you have to stay attached to. You have to keep an eye on, which means Carmelo can focus more on himself in that mid post. He can get his elbow jumper or blow past slower defenders, and he can focus more on that because he has players that's respectable, because sometimes they can even throw Patrick Patterson at the 4 and he can space out the floor as a stretch 4, and you'll still have Paul George and you'll still have Russell Westbrook, who became a slightly better three-point shooter as the season went on. And he's gonna get a lot more spot up shots as the season goes on with this new OKC roster. So it helps Carmelo out because he can literally continue to score the way he been scoring, and at the same time, he can still score off the spot-up threes. He's one of the best spot-up shooters in the league from the three-point line. And Carmelo is a guy that can come off screens, or if you double-team, he can torch you. Or if he gets the extra pass, he can make the hockey assists, and that can give it to Russell. He can pass it or give it to Paul George. He can make a play, or sometimes he can even lead them to a score. But I like what I've seen from the Thunder. They still need some more ball movement, but they do have 3 isolation players that can really deliver. And at the same time, they can still play Robertson if they need somebody to bring some all-NBA defense. The problem with this team is the decision-making. To me, Russell Westbrook, if you go back and look at the playoffs, if you go back and look at regular season games, he had a little bit more spark this year because he had the ball in his hand. He hit a couple game winners. He ended Denver's season. But it still was a lot of games where Russell Westbrook came up short. He missed the game winner. He threw up some bullshit, to be honest, because Russell Westbrook do take a lot of dumb shots, and he does rush a lot of his shots. And a lot of times he try to draw a foul, and if he don't get the foul, he throw up some dumb shit too. And he is a turnover machine, especially in the fourth quarter. He rushes and make his decision. He tries too hard. He does a little bit too much, and it causes bad shots and turnovers. And he even showed that against the Houston Rockets when he just flat out embarrassed himself. And I'm going to be honest, Russell Westbrook is not a clutch player. He is not a closer. He is not one of the guys I want the ball in his hands at the end of the day, and he has proven that since he's been in the league that sometimes he's going to hit the shot because he takes a lot of them. Eventually, he's going to hit a game winner. Eventually, he's going to make a tough shot. Eventually, he's going to go in, but he done missed so many chances, and he done flopped in so many fourth quarters that against the Warriors, he shoots terrible, under 40% from the field. He's a terrible three-point shooter, and he cannot get his shot. So that's going to hurt their chances of beating the Warriors because your so-called number one option, Russell Westbrook, struggles in the clutch, and he struggles making plays, especially when the game is on the line, and he's just a terrible decision maker in general, whether it's scoring or passing or making plays. And that can really hurt them against the Warriors, a team that's really disciplined, a team that really capitalizes off mistakes, a team that really can get hot. You can make a couple mistakes and they can just torch you in one quarter or torch you in one half. And next thing you know, you went from having a close game to now you blew out. And it happened to the Thunder, honestly, last year where Kevin Durant just took over the game for proof. And next thing you know, the Thunder went from it's a competitive game to now they're basically finished because after Kevin Durant torched them in that quarter, the game was damn near over because it was a blowout after that. So that can still happen. James Harden is no better. He's a guy that he plays better in the regular season. He has came close to winning multiple scoring titles. He has come close to winning multiple MVPs. He just came up short multiple seasons. He might eventually get scoring titles and MVPs in the future. He's a candidate for both of them this year. But he's a guy that has came up short in the playoffs. Obviously, he had better success than Russell Westbrook as the man because he was able to get out of the first round. His first chance, he got out of the first round. He made it to the Western Conference. Even last year, he beat Russell Westbrook to get out of the first round. Even though they lost against the Spurs, he has had more playoff success as the man. I can't give him that much credit because that was Russell Westbrook's first season, and he didn't have as much talent as he has now. So now we can evaluate Russell Westbrook as being the man, the best player on the team, and having great teammates. His bench is still a little weak in OKC, and that's why, like the Rockets, I feel like their bench is way deeper. They have more better players. They have two-way players like Mute, like PJ Tucker on the roster, and I like that. And it adds versatility, and they're able to guard bigger players like Carmelo, like Paul George, and on top of that, they still do have Trevor Ariza, who's 6'8", 215, and he's a solid defender himself. But that just adds versatility. A player like Luke Bamute, who can put the ball on the floor, he became a better scorer, and he's still a great defender. And he became a solid three-point shooter. Not amazing, but he's capable. And you can still always throw PJ Tucker, who's a smaller guy, 6'6", but he's a bigger guy, 245. He can play a little bit small ball forward. He can guard stronger threes like LeBron, even though he didn't really stop him. But he has the size and the strength and the body type to go against those guys. Like I said, James Harden has flopped a lot in the playoffs. He came up short. He has embarrassed himself too, but he did get out of the first round multiple times, and he did get to the Western Conference Finals. Even though his teammates did step up that game, he still was able to go into Game 7 and help his team close out that game. And so far, he had better playoff success. San Antonio, I think they're the real threat. I said that going into the season. I feel like they'll be the number 2 team in the entire NBA, not just the West. They're more disciplined, just like the Warriors. They have better ball movement. They have a guy in Kawhi Leonard that's clutch. He can match up against anybody. They have Danny Green that can guard the ones and the twos, and you still have Kawhi Leonard on top of that. And they can shoot the ball. They was one of the best I think they was the best three-point shooting team in the NBA with the Rockets, with the Warriors, so they can bomb threes. They have solid, mobile, quick defenders, athletic, and they're a team that really is great defensively, and they hard to guard because they move the ball around, and they have isolation players like LaMarcus and Kawhi Leonard and Paul Gasol who can either play in the offense, spread out the floor, or just dominate in isolation if they have a mismatch, and that gives you a little bit more versatility. And that's not including that they don't really turn the ball over, and they make great plays in the fourth quarter. It was a lot of fourth quarters I thought that the Spurs should have lost, but they was able to, even against the Grizzlies, a lot of the games the Grizzlies should have closed out, but they was able to stay in the game, make plays late in games, whether it was in 2 minutes left, and that's championship caliber to be able to stay patient, stay with the storm, weather the storm, and still be able to win those close games. That's championship basketball. That's something that I don't know James Harden can do because he hasn't been able to do it. That's something that Russell Westbrook hasn't really been able to do because he doesn't make great plays, and he does make a lot of mistakes in fourth quarters. So that's something that the Spurs can do. And like I said, they're definitely more disciplined, and they better coached at the same time too. I feel like Greg Popovich can outcoach Steve Kerr, and if he can't, they can have one of the best series in probably in the NBA. Spurs Warriors is probably the best series because I feel like whoever wins that series most likely wins the championship, and that's just being honest. I feel like if the Spurs can beat the Warriors, which is possible, I feel like they can beat the Cavaliers or Boston, whoever come out the East. And if the Warriors beat the Spurs or whoever they play in the Western Conference Finals, I feel like the Warriors is damn near the favorite to win the whole thing, even though they're the favorite to win already. But I feel like whoever comes out the West definitely most likely has a big opportunity, if healthy, to win the whole NBA title. So if I had to pick a team that can give the Warriors the biggest fit, the Spurs has the size, they have the rebounding, they have the perimeter defenders, they have the versatility now with Rudy Gay and other players on their bench to switch up matchups, play certain lineups, have certain scorers on the floor, still be able to put three-point shooting on the floor. They can go deep. They still have DeJounte Murray who can play the two or the one. They still have Ginobili who made a slight impact last year. He's a guy that you don't really, he's a wild card basically. Some games he's going to take over. Some games he might look bad. You also got Kyle Anderson, a solid player that's patient and takes his time. You still have Patty Mills who can come off the bench and give you 12 to 15 to 20 points any given night, and he can make decisions and he can knock down threes and get hot. So with the undisciplined of Russell Westbrook and James Harden coming up short a lot of times in the playoffs, I feel like the Spurs definitely will give the Spurs will definitely give the Golden State Warriors the hardest chance and the most fight in the playoff series, especially coaching wise, style wise, matchup wise, versatility wise. I feel like those two teams can have a 7 to 6 game series, and we'll see who wins. But I just feel like the Thunder, they have the chemistry issues. I feel like they still have to figure out how they're going to play defensively, what's their game plan is going to be, what's their lineups going to be against the Warriors. And they have to figure all of this stuff out this season because Paul George can leave. Carmelo only guaranteed one more season after this year. And if they don't get it right, they only have legitimately probably 1 year to do it because Carmelo going to be a year slower, a year older, and Russell Westbrook not getting any younger either. He's getting older. So, and he had a lot of major injuries too. So they have to get this right quick. And if Paul George do leave, that just put urgency that we have to see if we can go all in, which I feel like Sam Presti did. But like I said, it's still a lot of unknowns. How they going to guard the Warriors? How they going to guard the Spurs? What is they lineups? What's the matchups going to be? What's their best lineup to go for their offense? What's the best lineup? Carmelo at the 4, Patrick Patterson at the 4, Andre Robertson in the game. He's out the game, so they can do the Hacker Robinson thing. And do you want to play Paul George at the 4, at the 3, at the 2? Who's going to really do all the ball handling duty when Russell Westbrook's on the bench? Chris Paul, can he mesh? Can he take over? Can he dominate consistently in the playoffs? Is he going to come up short? Is he going to get injured? Because he been getting injured a lot That's a question. Can James Harden close the Warriors? Can he close out a game against the Spurs? Can he take over a game? Can he make the right plays in a crucial 2 to 3 minute inning of the game and make the right plays and close out the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals, in the semifinals consistently? Can he lead a team to have a lead in the fourth quarter and keep it consistently over the Spurs, over the Warriors? These are legitimate questions. Can Chris Paul score on Kawhi Leonard consistently, on Danny Green? Yes, he's one of the best players. Yes, he's one of the all best offensive players. But these are active, mobile, fast, athletic defenders that can give anybody a fit. And can Ryan Anderson, is he going to be a defensive liability? Can Clint Capella, can he guard Paul Gasol? Can he guard LaMarcus Aldridge consistently? Can he anchor the paint? Can he become the guy that shuts down Paul Gasol? Paul Gasol playing at the three-point line, can he still be effective guarding out on the perimeter? These are literally questions that has to be answered during the regular season, and we will start seeing them as these teams play each other if they are all healthy for the whole season. And if they answer the questions, if they're able to play, and then if they're able to play in the playoffs, they'll be prepared and we'll know the answers and we can be able to gauge how the series will go. But can Houston play enough championship ball? Can they close out the Warriors in the 7-game series? Can they win the games? Can they make the plays? Can they play great enough defense, which they showed that they could, to guard the Warriors with the last 3 minutes on the clock? And can they score on the Warriors? They one of the best offensive teams the last couple years. Can they literally dig down and make the right plays to win a game in the playoffs against the Warriors, which they only lost one last season? And I feel like the Spurs can do all of that, but can the Thunder and the Rockets do that enough? Play championship basketball, something that they never did. Can they do that now? And that's the biggest questions. Let me know what you guys think. Is the Rockets? Is it the Thunder? Is it the Spurs? I think it's the Spurs so far. And even though Kawhi Leonard is not healthy right now, he'll be ready for the playoffs because they're definitely going to make it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. What questions do you have? Do you think just because the Thunder have the big three, they better than the Rockets, but their bench is not as good? They don't have as many defenders as a team like the Rockets, but also they have more star power. They have 3 players that can basically get 30 any given night. But also the Spurs is the better coach team. They're the best play calling team. They have the best defense against the Warriors, and they have a good matchup inside because they have the size and the length and the bigs to kill them on the boards and to kill them in the post. That's what I want to know. What is the questions you have? Who do you think is the best threat at the Warriors from the West? Let me know in the comment section below. Check out my website, analysisplayground.com. Link in the description in the comment section below. Check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. Link up in the description in the comment section below. And click the link. It'll send you to my Facebook page. Like to show support. Click my website, sign up to that, and become a user. And you'll have exclusive content that I only put up on the website. Quinn Wade, Basketball Analysis, I'm gone. And let me know what you think in the comment section below. Who's the biggest threat to the Warriors?